A beautiful 1970 Alfa Romeo 1750 GTV. What a great colour. And that staple classic car, a 1974 MGB Roadster in a very unusual shade of aconite, commonly known to me and you as purple. A beautiful red MGA 1600, not sure about the year, but it's a super car. Next to it, a TR4A. An absolutely lovely sunbeam drop head. I'm bringing this a bit more up to date. Is this fantastic XR2i. And these were once pretty commonplace, but you won't see so many now. Some people will know better than me, but I suspect this is a Micra K10, but it looks like an import by the fact this has got the moniker Super Turbo on the side of it. Nevertheless, it's a rare car, lovely and right-hand drives. Beautiful yellow TR6, 74, I think, from the plate. Next, a Lotus Sunbeam, and it looks like it's got that all-important Coventry registration. It's an AC registration. Nevertheless, whatever, it's an absolutely beautiful car. And you can hear 1P6 in the background, and here's another Mark 1P6. And a beautiful Mark III Cortina GXL. Isn't that an absolutely lovely colour? For those with a bit more budget, here's a fantastic Rolls Royce convertible. Aston Martin Dbs. Here's a rare Alfa Romeo Zagato based on the GT Junior platform and sharing some other Alfa components, I believe, with the Spider. This particular vehicle is going to go on an epic London to Lisbon rally pretty soon. It's one of, I think, just over 400 ever made officially, and not officially imported to the UK. Beautiful. I'm not sure what you call a trio of midgets, but here goes. Orange, red and green. Beautiful cars. Mark II Jensen Interceptor. Absolutely. This Austin A70 outfit cost its owner just over £1,000 when new. You don't see so many in that shade these days, do you? A Mark I Escort twin cam, I think fitted with the Lotus engines. Please feel free to comment if that's the case. Absolutely beautiful with the 4-valve. This will be a 8485 XJS. It's the HE, the high efficiency model. And next door, one of my favourites, an Alfa Romeo Dolomite Sprint. This one from 1977. One of the first vehicles to use a 16-valve overhead cam engine, and even back in the day producing 127 horsepower. Lovely. No shortage of MGBs, and next to it a Morgan. And I'm guessing this must be a beautiful navy blue Bentley Continental. Another Morgan, and next to it the first of the Roots Group cars today. This one's a Singer Vogue in a very, very period correct combination of red and white. And this is where the high rollers hit town. We've got a Silver Shadow, a Bentley sharing the same body style from the same period, and I think as we walk along we've probably got an Elvis. Yes, we have, we've got an Elvis. Absolutely beautiful. A Super MGA, and next to it, what is this? This is obviously a Lancia, and doesn't this look a beautiful car? What a mark, Lancia. I think this would be a relatively late Aston Martin V8. Previously, I think it's the DBS body shape that was launched in the late 60s, early 70s. A Mustang, and next door, a Volvo 264. Now this was the 6-cylinder version, you can see the larger, a lovely blue Austin A35. Now we all remember these. This was the pretty groundbreaking in terms of aerodynamics, certainly in terms of look. Mark II Vauxhall Astra. This one's a GTE and a 16 valve, and nicely followed by a 77 Porsche 911, I believe. An Alfa Romeo GTV. And what a comparison. A Reliant Robin from 78, 79. An E30 BMW, I think that might be a 318 IS, I'll check. Let's have a look. And indeed it is a 318 IS. These are quite prized, and I think this one would restore quite nicely. And of course, an XK, another MGB in a rather unusual burgundy colour, and a Tangerine Escort Mark 1 RS 1600. You can tell a car's been well prepared when you see an engine bay that's that clean. What a beauty. And a Citroen Cx, I think. An Alfa Romeo Duetto Spider. Hold on, please. Now these are super rare. It's a BMW 2002, but a touring. And hence you can see the rear hatch on this vehicle distinguishes it from the normal 202 Bluetooth. Really unusual and really practical. This is certainly a Corvette. I think it might be a C6 Corvette. I'm sure you'll tell me if I'm wrong, guys. And an Austin van fitted with a rather fetching livery of the Aintree Motor Racing Circuit. And from the late 70s, 78, 79, is this Maserati Datsun. What an iconic 70s wedge shape. Beautiful colours. Now I'm a sucker for pop-up lights, and this has probably got some of the best in the business. It's a pity it's not dark, I guess, isn't it? You probably need to go from this angle to really appreciate that crease down the side of the car.
Ventilation on the dash.
And those tiny, by modern standards, 15-inch alloy rims. Love the additional cooler on the bonnet. And look at the wiper arrangement. That's unusual, isn't it? Now this is true festival of the unexceptional material, a Datsun 120Y. How many of these survived? It's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Let's have a close. I guess the reason it survived, it's actually a Japanese domestic market Sunny, which we knew as the 120Y. This one's a relatively late vehicle, coming from 1976, but look at that interior. I guess the giveaway is the Japanese size square number plate. Tiny wheels. And that sort of semi-coupe styling must have been a revelation, particularly with all that standard equipment when it was launched in the UK in the 70s. And Abrasive Mustangs, this one in full bullet spec. Next to it, a beautiful red. This looks to be a very late Capri 280 Brooklands on an e-registration. Very collectible these days, the Mark I RS 2000 very much came in this white. So from the days when everything was colour-coded, this is a lovely example, although I think non-factory wheels, but still as an attractive car today as it was. Next to it, an earlier brother or sister, is this Escort Mark 1 Mexico. Looks like a 71 or 72 by the registration. No show would be complete without a Mark 1 E-Type, and it looks like a Mark 1 because it's certainly got the covered in front lights. I'm not sure whether it's a flat floor vehicle. I'm not getting down on my knees to have a look. It's absolutely lovely car in terms of the red interior. Isn't that a beauty? Next to it we've got a VW Beetle, Cal Look Beetle, badged as a 1300, but I'm sure it might be packing a few more horsepower these days. Alongside it, Alfa 1750 Spider. I think this is a so-called boat tail Spider. Again, I'm sure you'll tell me if I'm wrong. And Triumph Herald 1360. It looks pretty well used and pretty well loved. It's certainly been to a lot of places, hasn't it? And an Alfa Romeo SZ Zagato. And another Capri, this time a normal 2.8 injection. And a nice Volvo Sprite. This one's in good order. It has the original bonnet. You can see the seams there rather than some of the glass fibre replicas. There's not a lot in the way of weather protection, although it does have a hood. I can't imagine that it's that great in inclement weather, but it's certainly in beautiful order. I'm not sure what year it is because it's pre-registration, so it's obviously I think pre-63. Anyway, it's lovely. Just arriving in the show is this beautiful Alvis. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Incoming. You've got about 5 feet. 2, 1, stop there.
Romeo Gt Junior, and next to it, here's two very iconic British cars. The Mini needs no introduction, but next to it, the very diminutive S1 Land Sprint. That's a beautiful car, isn't it? From the number plate mounted beneath the bumper on the grille to those super indicator and side lights, the pop-up lamps, and of course that beautiful iconic shape. Let's take only today would you find the comparison between a Triumph Spitfire 1500, a Jensen Interceptor, and next door to that another British icon, in fact an MG Motor. The iconic Triumph Stag and a Jaguar XK. Closely followed by a 71, 72 K registered E-Type. Sliding Webasto roof. Brings a lot of light in there. Fitted with a V12, not really as appreciated as some of the earlier cars, but I think getting that way, and in actual fact, still a reasonably pretty car in its own right. An 85-86 Lotus XL, I believe this is one that made use of some Toyota parts as a result of their shareholding that Toyota held in Lotus at the period. A beautifully preserved 88 Mark II Metro. Here's a beautiful 1953 Sunbeam Talbot, 2.3 litre, 70 horsepower. Sunbeam Alpine, Rover P6 facelifted vehicle. A lovely modified Volvo 121 Amazon. I can't see that you're going to find another board anywhere, certainly in this show. Maybe I'll chance it on another one. This is beautifully preserved, isn't it? Interesting, this brand became defunct, I believe, in the early 1960s. It was a German brand, but has since been resurrected by a Chinese company to relaunch their products. I'm assuming this GT40 must be a replica. Maybe it isn't. If it isn't, it's priceless. And here's an example of the Triumph 2000, this with the Maserati updated front end. A lovely example of a Reliant Scimitar Ss1. This is a 1400cc left-hand drive example that was re-imported, I believe, from Portugal. It's a beautiful car, and production of this is an 89. Now this is reminiscent of the Lotus Esprit that appeared in the James Bond film, complete with skis on the roof. I don't think you'll be needing those today. A rare car in the UK is this Mazda AZ1, which was only available as an import. It's one of the diminutive K cars, so called because of its size, but it's got some great looks. In fact, it's reminiscent of a later frog-eyed Sprite, to my eyes at least. colours that you don't see very often these days, both in red. One's an earlier car, the one closer to me, the one further away looks like a facelifted one.
The housing.
Yeah. And a bit less ordinary is this Lamborghini and a lovely Morris minor pickup that says it's owned by Carlton Paving. Well, it's a credit to your Carlton Paving, it looks beautiful. Seldom seen and often overlooked in favour of the contemporary Escort is this 1976 Vauxhall Chevette 1300. This one's in a really nice colour and it's a two-door, as you can see, with the chrome. There's a couple of interesting variants. I guess the first one is probably a Japanese market import, either a Celica or possibly a Japanese market only Super. The vehicle next to it is definitely a Super, as we can see. A beautiful Austin Healey. Great on a day like today, I guess. Often derided as having a VW van engine from the VW LT van. In actual fact, that's a bit cool, but this 1984 car has still got a 2-litre engine with 125 horsepower and those lovely pocket lights that many people like. These are probably a classic bargain today, not really fully appreciated. And a modified Mark 1 VW Golf GTI. In terms of TR6s, where do you start? Well, there's another TR, it's a TR2, just get into the shop. Followed closely by an MGF. There's always a place in every classic car lineup for a Ford Cortina. This one's a 2-litre gear in a lovely blue colour. I think this probably is an 82 car. It's got the all-important gear badging necessary in the 80s executive car park. Just sitting on 13-inch wheels, and you can see the 3 stripes that I believe were only applied to the gear models in the Mark V Cortina. Let's take a look inside. So inside we've got this beautiful crushed velour trim, still manual winder windows, those important wood cappings, that 4-spoke steering wheel, and very clear traditional instruments, and it's in absolutely lovely condition, with a factory sunroof and a really nice Dolomite Sprint. Another one. A rare beast these days is a VW Jetta, Mark 1 Golf based, but in superb order, this particular car. You're not likely to see many. And a Mark 2 facelift for Granada, sporting a very natty grey paint job. Now, you're not going to see too many of these. It's a Gordon Keeble, I believe just 99 of these were actually built. The Gordon Keeble has got a great story to it. So look at the badge, it's a tortoise. But given that this vehicle's fitted with a huge American engine, I'm not sure it's a Chrysler engine from memory, it's probably the most inappropriate patch for any car going. Doesn't it look magnificent? And almost from any angle, it's a beautiful car in a beautiful colour, and I love those wheels that it's fitted with. These vehicles weren't built so far away in Southampton. I think that's packing a few more horsepower than left the factory with, don't you? Because we've spent time in the back of a Volvo over the years. 71, 72 Alfa 2000. I'm struggling a bit on the model of this one, please let me know. And a lovely Volvo Amazon. Probably from 66, I guess. And a very nice Zephyr 6. Here's a relatively early 70, 71 Scimitar GT. There's not so much chance to see a Citroen Cx these days, but they are around. But I bet you've not seen one like this before. This particular vehicle is a 2-door convertible with a surfboard on the back, a seemingly standard interior, and then to top it all, a massive whale tail. Again, another rare car in this baby blue is a Maserati Indy. Doesn't this look absolutely delicious? Pocket lights. It's fantastically comically small period wheels. Right the way through to its beige coloured interior. Isn't this nice? This is a Fiat 124 Sport. Obviously a left-hand drive car, as you can see. I hope the handbrake's good because he's parked a fair way up the banking today. Very pretty. An 82 or 83 on an A. Standard, unmodified Vauxhall Nova. This is truly a unicorn. Take a look at this. It's got the snowplow front, or certainly the look of it. And look at that interior. Let's take a look. If you want red checked interior, you've absolutely come to the right place. Isn't that incredible? And it's got those typical power bulge wheel arches that everybody loves. Looking at how much Mark II Escorts are worth these days, this 1979, maybe 1980 car looks in really good order. I had one just the same, I just wished I'd kept it in a barn if I had one. Heading up to us now is a really lovely primrose yellow Opel GT. Sounds really sweet, isn't it? Another unicorn is this 1974-75 Audi Gt. It's only a two-door, and in that colour there can't be too many that look like that if they're left. Well, this is a really nice E34 BMW 5 Series, probably from '89 I guess. And in this instance it's fitted with probably one of the biggest engines of the range, so far, you know, aside from the M5, it's the 535. I'm pretty sure this is a Renault 8 Gordini. Of course, back of the punch in this one is the engine, its real engine. Architects, accountants and other such professions of the 80s and early 90s wouldn't be anywhere without their Saab 900. This is a turbo. Sounds sweet, doesn't it? I've run out of BMW E numbers here, so help me out, but this is an absolutely lovely BMW coupe from probably 84, 85 I guess. Once everywhere and ubiquitous, now absolutely never seen. It's an MG Montego. It looks to be a very late car, doesn't it, on a G plate, which would make it an 89 or a 90. And this one's a 2-litre Mayfair. And to be fair, it looks in pretty good order. And here's a T registered, so I guess a 79 Opel Monza. It's an absolutely lovely car in this super gold paint. Porsche 928s are obviously a bit like buses. There goes one.
See you later.
There goes the second. Finally the third, which looks to be an early car. Not ones to be left out is the Roots Group Hillman Minx, the Audax Minx. Here's a lovely example. And for those of you familiar with the Prisoner 60s TV series, you'll recognise certainly one of these vehicles. is looking like the vehicle that was used in that very series in Portmeirion. Here we can see just leaving the show is an Austrian. Here we can see just leaving the show is a Nash/Austin Metropolitan. When you think you've seen everything, up pops a Di Tommaso Pantera. Those gold wheels, Campagna wheels, I'm not sure what they call them, really suit the car. Maybe we can have a look inside. The interior doesn't disappoint either. That open gated gear shift and that lovely interior. Some really nice features. Some of those amongst us would call these exhaust pipes, but they're actually pretty much like heavy duty grade scaffolding. They're absolutely huge. Good opportunity to see the car from the rear underneath, and it doesn't actually disappoint. It is, of course, powered by a huge American Ford engine. So this is probably one of my favourite cars at the show. It's a Mark I Ford Granada from 1977-78, so probably pretty much before the changeover, just before the changeover to the Mark II. It's a 3-litre car with the obligatory vinyl roof and benefiting from that lovely interior. To me, there are a few cars that sum up the 1970s as well as this Ford Granada. It is so typical of its time. What a beauty. Those iconic painted steel rims, but only 14-inch. The side strip, the small mirrors, and of course that 70s. And some early Ford 911s making their way into the scene. I presume this is an ACV. Sounds great. Not many of these Lancia Vita coupes seem to survive having succumbed to rust, but this one certainly kept its good looks over the years and looks to be pretty rust free and well cared for. Thanks for watching Lot 76 Cars. Please like, share and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.